Hey guys, and welcome to the ultimate Ashe guide for Apex Legends in Season 12. I love Ashe. Her abilities are super good, and I feel that they are great, and they really fit in the meta right now. You know about Ashe, so I'm going to just get straight into tips and tricks. I'm not going to be bothering telling you what they all do. You should know this by now. Ashe's tactical arc snare is super fun, and the meta right now is fast, quick-paced, with a little sprinkle of jukes in there to, for good measure. The good thing about arc snare is it stops some of, or if not, most of the jukes, and it roots people in one spot. So for example, this stops people from, taking jump cannons, going up balloons, Valkyrie's ultimate, it even stops Loba's bracelet, it stops Octane's jump pad, all who are very high picked legends. I actually, just all things aside, I actually love trick shotting with this ability and throwing it across a map. It's a waste of time, but it's just a fun tip for you guys to enjoy. I recommend it whenever you just want to go back to the Modern Warfare 2 intervention days. Just lob it across a map and see if you hit someone. It's a great ego boost. But it's good to use the arc snare all the time when you're fighting. It should never be available to use. It should always be on cooldown, because it's a pretty straightforward ability. But let's look at ways that you can master the arc snare. First of all, she counters Mirage's bamboozles. Your arc snare will only attach to the real Mirage, so this pretty much works for everything, even as tactical. So bear this in mind when you're going up against the Mirage. They're incredibly frustrating because of the bamboozles. I always argue and say that Mirage is the best 1v1 legend. If both people play Mirage are as skilled as each other, the Mirage will always win against any other legend. But Ashe's tactical does, provide a little bit more of an easier way to finish off a Mirage. So just bear that in mind. Ashe's tactical works super well if you combine it with arc stars, thermite grenades. As some of you know, I am obsessed with grenades. I have made multiple guides to try and convince people to use grenades more. But when you use it in synergy with their tactical, you can legit take out an enemy with little to no stress. Frag grenades are also good. They are good to use, but they do require a little bit more skill, as they can deal more damage, but they aren't as accurate as the thermite arc snare. A good way to utilize this is to throw your arc snare at the enemy and then throw your grenades. This will allow the arc snare to hold the enemy in place, because then you can pepper them with grenades. So what you're doing then is you're throwing the arc snare, waiting for that to hit, and by the time that hits, your grenade should already be next to them. It's a really good way of taking one legend out of the fight pretty much immediately. But you will need to learn how to properly aim and throw the snare, which, as you guys know, I love to say this next bit. Just jump into the training ground. Just jump into the practice arena. Just get in there, start practice throwing in, your arc snares around. Try and arc snare and grenade from a different angle. Keep trying all this around, and it will really pay off. If you do this. This goes for anything, by the way. Any legend, any gun, any ability. If you want to practice something, please just jump in the training grounds and just focus on the dummies, on the target practice. It will really help you. I noticed a huge boost in my wingman skills when I just jumped into the target practice for about 10 minutes every single time I jumped on Apex. But, if you do want to become the best Ashe player, you're going to need to be doing these things to really help. But if you are enjoying the video, please consider dropping a like and a comment. It really helps me out. And also subscribe if you want to see more of me. You might not want to, but if you do, consider subscribing. Ashe's passive is really easy to master. There's not much you can learn about it, to be honest. As you guys know, it shows you when people die, and you can hit death boxes, and they will show you where the people that killed them are. So you can just walk up to a death box, throw your, I don't know what it's called, a thingy-majiggy, wiggy-wiggy, onto the box, and it will track and tell you where the enemies are. But bear in mind that it does tell the enemy that they have just been tracked by Ashe. So let's talk about this. You might want to track all the time and see where the enemies are, but this isn't always a good thing. If the enemy just wiped a team, there's a very good chance they can wipe you too. They might have better loot, they might have better shields, and when you track them, they could turn around and know where you're coming from. The amount of times I have caught a team by surprise because they have come to kill us, only for us to have purple shields and loot. So bear in mind that you might not always want to track, but you will be tempted to track every time you can. As I said, just please be careful. It's a great ability, but it can give up your position to the enemy, and sometimes you just don't want that. So a way I like to use this passive is to see, you know, as I said, you can go on the map and see where people have died. So you can see where someone died 10 seconds ago, 60 seconds ago. But one way I like to use this is border patrol. Now I call it border patrol when you sit on the edge of the ring and you let people come to you and then you kill them. You stop them from getting into the circle. Bear in mind, guys, it is a battle royale. It's all about surviving. It's not about, you know, staying out in the zone dying. So with border patrol, Ash is really good for this, especially if the circle is already closing in. You can make sure the enemy doesn't make it to the next circle. So it's always good to keep an eye on the map to see where you can get a cheeky squad, a nice cheeky squad wipe. So if you see the enemies have just killed someone but the circle's moving in, they're going to be looting for, you know, what, 10 to 15 seconds. You can then sit on that circle, wait for them to come in. They're going to be damaged by the heat shield. They're going to be panicking because they're outside the ring. They're going to be throwing down heat shields. They're going to be trying to heal, trying to shield. That's your chance to get a cheeky squad wipe. And if you are in ranked, that can get you a nice chunk of RP. But anyway, that's what I mean by border patrol. I hope I kind of make that makes sense, I guess. Another interesting way is when you're trying to rat and revive your teammates. Say you grab their banner, you can scan the enemy to see what direction they went in, so you can then leave with your teammates' banners and go the complete opposite way to the way that they went, and they're probably going to be waiting for you to come to them because they've been notified that you've tracked them. Now on to Ash's best ability, her ultimate, aka the get out of jail free card, aka I'ma see you later play. When Ash draws her sword, you have the ability to escape grenades, enemy abilities, third parties, bad positions. It really is one of my favourite abilities, and I never see it used a lot. One of my favourite ways to use this is to initiate a fight, deal some damage, use your ultimate to escape, heal, shield up, and then head back in. You know, your team's already headed in, already fighting, doing some damage. You can then go back in. This will really confuse the enemy, but it does need to be used with a team. Unfortunately, you know, as opposed to random teammates, you need to be used with a team, and that's not always a privilege that people have, especially in kind of solo queue. A nice way to know when the cooldown is up is by looking at the percentage of your ultimate. So when you use it, the portal will close when your ultimate regenerates to 12%. So you can help that with team. You can tell your team you've got X amount of time left. You've got, you know, 3-4 seconds to get through that portal. But you can use it to escape too. If your teammate is down, you can use it to get away from the fight and bring them with you. Obviously the enemy can follow through, but it's better than being stuck in a position. The good thing about this ability is you are almost immediately wherever you put your ultimate. When you use Loba, her bracelet takes forever. When you use a jump pad, you're left open in the air. Same with Valk's jetpack. But with Ash, you are protected as you escape or if you initiate a fight. The last step for her ultimate is to not be afraid to use it. Its cooldown is so short that it should be used all the time. Ash works very well at synergizing her two abilities. For example, using her ultimate to get away and then throwing an arc snare down at the floor when you get out the portal, so it will capture anyone that follows through the portal. But another good way to use this is after throwing the arc snare at the ground and to you know, catch the enemy coming through, take a few steps backwards, and then when the enemy comes through, they're going to be a little bit confused, a little bit, you know, out of play, and then you'll be able to just completely beam them down. And it's a really powerful good. You can take an enemy out pretty much immediately. Right, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you on the next one.